Now, how to choose a driver, which is what's going to be our topic for this evening, because right at this time of the year is when all these companies gear up to sell you their wares. You know, they got the new driver coming out, and mysteriously, it never fails. Whoever's winning the tournament that week, you're hitting the ball further with this driver than they did last year. Am I right, Jim?
Absolutely.
Every year they have. Let me tell you something. I've been playing golf since I was 9. I'm 62 now, believe it or not. If every year the ball went 5 yards further with the driver, if I switched clubs every year since 1959, I could hit it to Japan on the fly and back it up. I mean, yeah, right now probably the ball has more to do with any of it. But, yeah, switching to the graphite shaft rather than a steel shaft, yeah, lightening the golf club to hit a little further. But, I don't know. Let's take a look at what we're doing here, and let's just see. We went to the Golf 2013 Golf Drivers Review. And I'm going to click on this little puppy right here. See if we have, did you attend any questions yet? No. And we looked at what they show as a review. And I'll tell you what, I just went through trying to buy a car. You know about that one, right, Jim?
Yeah, I'm starting that process myself. So.
Right. So, you know, I agonized for 3 weeks. I looked at this car, into that car. Consumer Reports. You know, my wife, forget it, she's the crazy one with the Consumer Reports all the time. You know, Edmunds, this list, that's it. And I read all these reviews and all that stuff. And you know what? It was all crap. And a lot of that is the truth over here. Now, let me show you. I want you to know how to read these things. So when you look around, that's the whole idea here. The whole idea tonight is not to sell you a Callaway driver or a Ping driver. What we want to do is educate you so that you make a more informed decision when you do decide to do something. Now, here they're bragging about putting this. It's not a driver, I know, but I want to give you the mentality. They're bragging about this little slit that they have right in here or something. It said, part of TaylorMade's research concluded that most amateurs mishit the ball low on the iron face, 68% of the time, according to research. So they designed the 2013 rocket blades accordingly. Now, wait a minute. If people are hitting on the bottom of the golf club, why not figure out why they're hitting on the bottom of the golf club? Why not tell them, you know what, if you quit scooping, you might quit hitting the ball on the bottom of the golf club. This is my biggest pet peeve, you know, to say, wait a minute, hold it. If you've added more horsepower down here on the bottom, and let me see if I could actually draw on this and not mess this thing up. Right here. Well, then now what happens if I hit the ball here? Do I get less? Do I get more? So why are you designing the golf club for an imperfect shot rather than a perfect shot? Why have the golf club reward you when you make your worst motion, not your best motion? What do you think about that, Jim?
Yeah, it makes sense to me. You're trying to buy a golf game instead of correcting what's wrong with your swing.
Well, keep that in mind now as we move along here. Whoops. I've got to... all right, now, how do you get rid of this stupid thing? We've got to get somebody to run this thing besides a Cuban. You know that.
Too much technology.
You got that right. Oh, wait a minute. Now I got nothing but the pen here. Keyboard, give keyboard mouse to Jim Mason. Yes, please. How do I get rid of this stupid thing? Make Jim Mason presenter. Yes, please. Get rid of the Cuban, will you? Now I can't get this stupid thing to come. Okay, here we go. All right, now we're in bit. Oops, no, wait a minute. Normal non-drawing mode. There you go. Why don't you read, you dumb Cuban? Okay, now look, let's start right from the top here. And you see the TaylorMade, which is what Perkins was talking about. The TaylorMade rocket balls. You notice that they always come up with these crazy names. Rocket balls.
That's because they have to come out with a new driver every 6 months.
Well, here's the problem. Let me get back to our presentation first and we're going to go right back to this again. And let me show you. I'm going to hop one of the slides here and go further down. Where is it? And we're going to talk about the COR. I know I made a slide on that. Where to go? There it is. Right there. Okay, so now let's look at this. Whoops. I guess I should have done it this way. Oh, there it is right there. Now, they take the club face and they shoot a golf ball at it at about 100 miles an hour. It can't bounce back off the face faster right around here, and they can aim that cannon right where they want to go. It can't come off that face faster than 83 miles an hour. That's for everybody. So when they start telling you, well, my club goes further than your club, they say, well, it sure ain't the face. And I think that's another reason why they've gotten into so many of these little doodads up here in the neck to say, well, we can shut it. You know, we're going to go over those tonight. You can close the face. You can open the face. You can add loft. You can take off loft. And you'll probably end up in an insane asylum after all that. You know, especially if you're playing with somebody that does that. And every hole they're changing the club. I mean, it would drive you nuts. But the face can't get any faster. Now, you'll hear them start to claim that they can get it just as fast out here, and I don't buy it. Sorry, guys. I just don't buy it. So let's erase all drawings. Let's go back to where we were in the first place, and that was this. Whoops. You son of a gun. Right here. And let's look at the reviews that they have. You can go through all these reviews, and I don't think that it's terribly helpful in getting you to pick out a golf club. See? You can pick, this is 2003 golfdriversreviews.com if you want to go there. Cheaper than the R1, but not as adjustable. If you already know exactly what loft face angle you like, go with the RBZ2. Well, my contention is in the proper fitting, if you got somebody that's fitting you properly, you should know what's going to be the proper loft face angle. Why would you need to adjust it? Would you want to adjust it, Jim, or you say, hey, I'm fitted, I'm there?
I'd rather be fitted properly and just go with a proper loft.
Well, we're going to have a slide in a moment from TrackMan that shows, you know, trajectory and the whole idea. If you've already, you know, fine-tuned the thing into just the right trajectory for you, the right ball spin and everything else, why the heck would you want to change it? So that's... See? And they've got their little video, and they'll tell you how theirs is the greatest thing going. Read some of this on the Callaway. Watch this. Callaway has several new drivers on the horizon for 2013, including the Razor Fit Tour and the Razor Fit Extreme. That's the one that Phil was hitting. The Fit Tour is designed to give advanced players a higher degree of customization. The hosel features 3 sub-positions between the usual open, closed, and neutral settings. The Tour also gives more options by means of smaller movable weight increments. I mean, they're getting crazy here. The Razor Fit Extreme and Callaway's answer to complaints about high ball spin on the original Razor Fit drivers. The Extreme product's much lower ball spin. So far, testing has shown more distance speed and less ball spin compared to the OG Fit. Let's look at the, whoops. Oh, I'm in the wrong page. That's why. Let's go back to the, well, why did that happen? Slideshow, from current slide. Let's go right here. Here's this slide. It looks a little fuzzy because I had to enlarge it. But here's what they're talking about. More launch angle, less spin. What they're trying to sell you, and should be selling you, is that if you can hit the driver higher with less spin, it'll stay in the air longer. Than when it lands, it won't have as much backspin on it, so you're liable to pick up some roll, too. The old days, the golf ball would revolve a lot higher. It spun more. Now these guys are looking for usually around 14-degree launch angle and somewhere under 2,300 RPM as far as the ball spinning. Now, the problem with that is if you're hitting the ball too low, you're toast because the ball won't stay in the air long enough because it's not spinning enough. The old days, you hit that balata ball and it would get underspin and would shoot right up in the air and just hang out there. But then when it came down, it went ploop. Have you worked with this TrackMan, Jim, at all?
No, I haven't.
Oh, they had it out at the range one time. The Callaway rep brought it out, and it's pretty neat.
Right.
But, I mean, it's like a $40,000 machine.
I was going to say, it's pretty expensive, yeah.
Yeah, you got that right. But, I mean, are we nitpicking to such a point? Well, we'll see as we go along here. I'm going to give you some. Go ahead.
Here's my question. How do they reduce the spin with the drivers?
The dimple. You know, the dimple configuration of the ball and the actual cover configuration. You know, if you think of your tires, like you have soft tires, and they wear out quicker, and you can corner better, and you can maneuver around and what have you. Where if you have really hard tires, they might last 70,000 miles, but you get a bumpy ride and they're hard, and they don't grab the street as well. Well, it's the same way with the golf ball. So if you get a real softer cover, that ball's going to, the old balata. Remember how I used to rip the covers on those things all the time? That thing spins like the devil. Right. Now you get a top flight straight, which is a code word for it doesn't spin, and that thing's like a rock. And the dimples are more shallow, so the ball doesn't rotate as much. So that ball will go further if you can hit it high enough and hold it in the air long enough. So that's basically what you should be trying to fit for. Trajectory, centeredness of hit. That's what I think. But right. Let's move on here. Everybody don't have any questions? Let's move on. Let's go to the next one here. Let's see. I hope I can do this and not screw this thing up again. There we go. Now, I got this thing. Now I know. Let's go back. So this was the coefficient, and I went to that. Here's the new Nike club. Look at this. It got a big old hole right here. Faster swingers see distance gains due to a reduction in spin compared to their current driver. Doesn't lose a whole lot of distance on misses. Well, don't they all say that?
Yep, pretty much.
They're all saying that the face is bigger, that their sweet spot's bigger. And that they're, that they get, they all say the same thing. So how do any of the guys that are listening tonight have to decide, okay, which one do I buy?
Right.
They all say the sweet spot's bigger. They all say, hey, I can adjust the neck. And they all say,
the technology, I think the technology is so good right now in a lot of these clubs that you just need to go out and try different ones, and whatever feels good to you and looks good to you, I think it's the driver you need to go with.
Well, this one right here has got a big old opening in it. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, just moving the weight around.
Exactly. Let's look at, we already went there. All right, now here is the golf magazines. Is this the place to go to check out what driver you should get? And there's a whole lot of small print here. I took everything out from what was there, but there's a golf magazine selected 40 average Joes to rate and review clubs at the World Golf Village Resort. Now, here's my problem with all this. Do those regular Joes have problems with their swing that probably would have done more to help their distance than changing the drivers? Or again, do you fit the driver to the wrong motion, and now that golfer is doomed to continue to make that motion in order to get the best result out of that specific driver?
Right.
Gabish. So do you fit the swing you got or the swing you ought to have, or is it that the swing you've got is far enough along that it's worth making the investment to get the right driver for that motion? See, I don't believe you get to pick your clubs or the fitter picks your clubs. Your swing picks the clubs. That's who picks the club.
Right.
I don't know why, but I keep thinking of this sweet spot thing they just talked about. And I'm going to keep my mouth shut. I'm going to tell the joke that I'm thinking of right now. Right, Tony? I ripped one off right here. Now, what's one thing you can do? Now, Cleveland has really worked hard on trying to make a lighter driver because the math works. For every 10 grams you lighten the golf club, you pick up 1 mile per hour in swing speed, which is equals about 2.5 yards. This driver right here, which is one of their lightest, you can see right here, shows 270 grams. The typical driver weighs about 310, 315. So for every 10 grams you lower it, and they tried to make the club lighter and longer. You actually get more out of the 10 grams of weight than you do out of the additional inch. And plus, once you go an inch, I mean, you're toast. How much more can you go? Of course, the rules say 48 inches is the limit. So, and here's the other problem. As the club gets longer, do you hit the center of gravity of the golf club?
Right.
Because I still don't believe when you miss the sweet spot, you get the same distance. I ain't buying it. So looks very attractive. However, tour players aren't going for it, right, Jim?
No, they're staying with the shorter shafts.
Not only that, they're staying with the standard weight. They don't like the lighter club.
Well, I remember back in the 90s, remember everybody was going with the longer shafts, the
Killer Bee.
Yeah, Killer Bee, that was it.
Right.
And I'd see guys hit them, and they would still choke down like 2 or 3 inches on it. So I could never figure out why they would buy that longer shaft and then still choke down on it.
Well, let's look at here's Bill. Bill, you got a question, buddy?
Yeah, just so I don't make a mistake, what brand is that?
This is Cleveland.
All right, thank you.
That's it. He's going to go to the store tomorrow and try and get a Cleveland driver.
I'm not going to Cleveland.
You're not going to Cleveland? Where you going?
No.
See, and it's amazing. I know Terry Dill was very influential in what they did with this, and he did a whole thing at the PGA meeting on this. And Terry Dill was doing it. Of course, he's a big, tall guy. He can hit a longer driver. But he's was a big proponent of this lightening the golf club up to get some distance. But, guys haven't really bought into it. I know Boo Weekley tried it. He didn't like it. Do you know of anybody that's hitting that longer driver on tour? Anybody? Raise your hand. Let me see. In fact, let me ask maybe where'd he go? Well, I don't know of anybody that's actually using that long of a driver. I haven't said, oh, here he is. Here's Ryan. Ryan, do you know of anybody hitting the long drivers at all?
No, Bobby, I don't. If anything, I've only heard of guys going down a little bit shorter in length over time, but not longer.
Exactly. I mean, what was it? Butch Harmon was arguing with Tiger for the longest time, from what I saw in this interview he had, about trying to keep Tiger on the 43.5-inch steel shafted driver. He wanted him to stay with it, even though he hit it shorter. I mean, length is not everything. I mean, you've got to be accurate. And from what I hear, a lot of guys, they're hitting, 44.5 inches at the most?
Mm-hmm.
Ryan?
Well, ego plays a big thing roll out on tour, too. These guys want to hit it 350 yards.
Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, no, their average is right in that range, probably give or take a half inch, probably up to 45. I don't think many guys go longer than 45 from what I've heard.
Yeah, I mean, I myself, 44.5 inches is the limit. Anything longer than that, I can't swing the stupid thing, and I can't find. I was, remember with Jose Maria Cañizares, we used to play a lot together years and years ago on the European tour. Now he was playing the senior tour, and I went to go see him, and he was hitting a shorter driver. He said he tried every stinking long driver he could find, and he said, man, I can't find the fairway. So, all right, well, that's good input right there. Thanks for putting. A lot of people don't believe it. They think they're all using the long clubs, and they're not. So you can go for the lighter club. You can try it. I mean, it doesn't mean that you're not going to have a different result out of it. But let me caution you on one thing, especially when you start going longer. Here is the gear effect on the golf club, and when you hit the outer part of that golf club, that club coils back. In fact, I'm going to show you something right here. You're going to like this. Wait till you see this, Jim. Let me see. Switch programs. Let me go here. Let me go here. Let me see. Where is this girl? She's not the one. She's not the one. She's not the one. She's not the one. She's the one. No, I don't think she is. But the guys are going to want to see this one.
That's Paula Creamer, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, no, you see her club turn over beautifully? Okay, watch this. There's, you think I would have, oh, look at these pants. Are you ready for that? You know what?
Like that, do you?
If she was playing in Spain like I do, they'd be taking her into the bull ring. They think she's the bullfighter. Olé! Look at that thing. Unbelievable. Amazing, isn't it? Anyway, hold it. We had one here where they hit a shot. Oh, wait a minute. Hold it. Maybe it's over
Michelle
here.
Wee?
No, it wasn't Michelle Weed. Here we go. This might be it. Look at this backswing. Are you kidding me? Marron. Okay, look. There it is right there. See that club face? That club face is recoiling back because she's hit the ball on the outer. Whoops. Let me get that out of there. Hope you guys can see this. Now watch. She's coming up right here. See where that ball is? It's right near the toe of the golf club. Watch what's going to happen to her club. See? Kicked wide open. I don't give a hoot if you bought the most expensive shaft, the most expensive head, the shortest driver, the longest driver, a mask to make you look like Groucho Marx, or whatever you do. If you don't hit the ball in the stinking center of the club face, you're going to have a problem. I don't care how much they tell you, oh, well, with my club, you can hit it on the toe. Baloney. Because the coiling effect of the golf club, I mean, it's just, it's going to happen. There's no support. See, there's a shaft on this side of the golf club. There's no, now, if they built another shaft here and sort of hooked it in so you had two shafts, maybe you could hold that club there. But you can't. There's no support for the outside part of the golf club. So now, going back here and looking at the gear effect, that's what happens. You hit it in the heel, the reverse happens. See? So then you come in here, and actually the face itself actually has a bulge to it. It's not flat. So that way, on any ball that hits out on the toe, it actually gives it a counterclockwise spin and curves it back to the center. Too much bulge. Here's the correct amount of bulge. Here's too much bulge on the top, too little bulge on the bottom, and just the right bulge. So there's Mama Bear, Papa Bear. Now, here's the other problem. You heard earlier with the guy from TaylorMade saying people are hitting the ball on the bottom of the golf club. Well, there's a penalty to pay for that. I don't care how many Schlitz he puts back in there. You know, whatever happened to Schlitz? Remember Schlitz?
Schlitz. Oh my
yeah,
God.
The beer.
Yeah.
That was good beer. What happened to them? Dennis will know. Where's Dennis here? Hold on. Dennis will know. Anyway, we'll get to Dennis in a minute. He'll be able to tell us. Here's a good centeredness of hit. Here's a shot down on the bottom of the golf club. And here's what's going to happen. Let me get this up. Let me get this up. Let me get this up. That club actually coils back that way. As you hit the bottom rung of the ladder there, the club kicks down. So what happens? You get a lower trajectory because when the club kicks up like this, that face comes forward, so you lose a degree. The reverse happens when you hit the ball up on the top of the golf club. You get a higher trajectory. Why? Because when you hit here, it makes the club recoil down that way. So centeredness of hit is key. It is absolutely key. And here we have a picture right here. See, if you hit it out on this side right here, let me see here. You know, I'm actually starting to figure this stinking thing out here, Jim.
You're getting pretty good on it.
I'm telling you, man. Hold it. Let me get the pen again. Out here, draw side spin, reduced backspin. Slide size. Let me get, what am I putting all that stuff on there for? Erase all drawing. There we go. See, you look at this corner over here. You have got to hit the bullseye. Period. Period. There's just no two ways about it. So we got to figure out, is it the golf club that's keeping you from going to bullseye, or is it your swing that's keeping you from going to bullseye? Because if you're swinging over the top, or you've got a path that's erratic, it's putting stress on the shaft, and it's making it coil and twist and all that stuff that they talk about, the MOI and everything, which is the moment of inertia, is going on. Where if you're swinging the club on the proper path, there's a lot less stress put on the golf club, and the shaft isn't bowing and turning as much, so you have a better shot at hitting it in the center. So you got to determine that. Is it me, or is it the club? Because you can go out and spend all the money you want on golf clubs, and you might end up with the same problem. It doesn't do you any good. Here's the shaft. You want to have a shaft that helps you get into the center of the club face. Remember the old Henry Griffiths thing, Jim?
Yeah, sure.
I remember when I first started doing Henry Griffiths, this was 1991, and I would pull it out over at the hollows, And here you are at this little simple golf course back then, and I'm pulling this wagon out, selling golf clubs for $1,200, and everybody was laughing at me. There were guys in the clubhouse screaming, "Ice cream!" It looked like an ice cream wagon. It was an umbrella on it and the music. Made, right? Selling them like crazy. Why? Because people were hitting the ball better. Because they had enough shaft combinations in that wagon. I mean, you had this wagon. I remember Ronnie Kelly told me, "You're going to get stuck with a bunch of shafts." Well, I had a wagon with like 50 shafts in it.
Right.
And I could find exactly the right shaft for that player and the right head design to where the guy hit it right in the center of the club face almost every time. That's where you're going to play your best golf. And you've got to have enough shaft configurations to hit until you find one that goes there. And you got to have somebody fitting you that knows enough to say, "Hey, I know you hit that in the center of the club face that time, but that's based on the fact that you swing over the top and across yourself. And with that configuration, yeah, you could get in the center, but now you're doomed to be there forever." Everybody catching on that? You know, I want that to be a big lesson to you that when you walk into a golf store or something, that you don't get conned with them saying, "Oh, yeah, that's the club for you." Well, wait a minute. Did they really look at your swing? Did they know? Were they able to show you your swing? Every fitting we do, Jim, right, we use the video.
The first thing I do when I fit somebody is videotape them.
Right. They need to see what they're fitting. I've had guys, of course, I get away with it because I'm so crazy, but I've had guys that "You want me to fit that? What are you kidding?" I mean, they said, "Yeah, you're right." Of course. Why are you going to go spend $1,000 on a set of sticks for a swing that's got these kind of problems? You know, it saddens me when I see people that go out and buy a new set every 2 or 3 months, dreaming that all of a sudden that set of clubs is going to be the magic set that's going to change their game. And it doesn't happen. That's why they're buying another set 3 months later. Once you get your configuration right, you shouldn't have to change it that often. Wasn't it Tiger, Jim, that was using a 5-year-old head, and Nike was furious with him because he wouldn't change the head? He might have by now, but this was a couple of years back. He kept using the same head, and they wanted him to change the head every year so they could promote that new head design, but he liked the head design that he had.
Right. That's how they make money, is, for coming up with new technology every year and selling it.
Right. So here's my conclusion. Jim may have a different one. But my conclusion is it's all about centeredness of hit. If I'm doing a fitting with someone, let me tell you something. You could have a $40,000 TrackMan. You could have a NASA computer. You could have a flying saucer there with somebody from the planet Jupiter doing all the measurements. But I'm telling you that if I can get a guy with a halfway decent swing path, it doesn't have to be perfect. We're not dealing with perfect here, but a decent swing path and a decent club face angle, and I can get him to hit the ball more times than not right there, that is your golf club. I don't care what the computer says. That is the club that you're going to play the most consistent golf with because your ball's going to go a consistent distance, especially with the irons. It does you no good to hit a 6-iron 190 once and 170 the next time. And if you're losing, which is what I understand it to be, up to 20% of your ball speed by missing that center of gravity, you can't swing the club fast enough to make that up. Right? Let me pull out my trusty iPhone here. Really, Maron. You know, I dropped the iPad. You saw? Oh man, I almost started crying, man.
Yeah, I know. Is it still working?
Yeah, it's working fine. But the guy told me the place I went to today. I says, "You can fix it right." He says, "Yeah, $150, put a new screen." But he looked at me and he says, "You're gonna drop it again anyway. So wait till you really break it, because it's only cracked." So you go 90 times. Let's see, 1.2 to make up 50. But you'd have to swing the club. If you were swinging 90 miles an hour here, you'd have to swing at 108 here to get the same distance. Not to mention that club's coiling back, so it's putting a different spin on the ball and probably bailing out to the right. So centeredness of hit is crucial. Absolutely crucial. All right? Any questions here? Well, while we got a couple questions coming up, I'm going to show you something that we've been working on here. Tony, you're going to be a guinea pig here. Do they have guinea pigs in New Zealand? Let me get Tony's microphone on first. Where's Tony? Tony. Hey, Tony. All right, Tony, can you hear me?
Yeah, we do have guinea pigs.
Okay. Are you dating any?
Oh, no.
I don't want your sheep to get jealous.
That's below the belt.
That wasn't very nice. Tony's he's on every week. He's one of our best listeners.
Now, Tony here had a problem with sliding his hips, right, Tony?
Yeah, that's right.
Your hips used to slide and you would flip. Now watch Tony now. Look at that impact position.
Oh,
Look at that. And that's all the way from New Zealand. Now watch. Here's Tony. Watch this. Boom. Now he's turning. Notice how his spine is turning right on that angle. And watch this. Let me draw a line right up this plane line here. And watch what he's doing. Look at that. Right on the plane. Come on down. Boom. Now you see right there? You're hanging on a little too much, which we'll see it from this side. You'll see your video I already sent. Hopefully you got it. I'm going to check up on that other one. See? Don't hang on too much. Unless, a little shot around the game, a little punch shot, that's not bad. That's not bad. But I would maybe just release it a little earlier, not hang on too much. We were using as an example for Tony here. But, Tony, you've done a great job, pal. I'm really proud of you.
Thanks.
You get all the credit, not us. You're the one that did all the work. Here's Brad Faxon. See? Now, here's a perfect example. If you have a good, solid position at impact, let's look at, I got another one to pick on for you here. Let's look at Perky. All right, now he's hitting a driver, using him because we're picking a driver tonight. And I stop you at impact, and you don't look like this. What you really look like is flipped, meaning the shaft is over here, your hands are scoopy, which is what makes the ball go to the bottom of the golf club, which TaylorMade was talking about. So that means that 68% of you guys out there doing that. What driver do I give you? What loft do you get? Do you want a loft that's going to work when you're scooped? Or do you want a loft that's going to work when you're got a good solid impact position? See? Look at the back of that left hand, how solid that is and how he rotates over. You want a club that fits that kind of motion, not a flip. And that's what happens so much to people, guys, that don't know how to fit properly or don't know how to work on it, or they're afraid of. A lot of people that sell golf clubs, they're afraid to get into this because they ruin more sales than you can imagine. Right, Jim? Without mentioning any names, you worked at a golf store before.
I was just going to say tonight's information is great because I've sold golf equipment, and every day golfers would come in and they're not concerned about their swing; they're just concerned about their equipment. And you really need to look at your swing before you purchase any equipment.
Right, and there's the real problem. If somebody makes their living strictly off golf club sales, they go broke because, I've ruined more golf club sales than you can imagine because I've had guys come in and they go, well, I want this. I say, no, you don't. I want that. No, you don't. You think you do. Why? Because you read it on the internet or somebody said this. You don't need that. That's not what you need. So,
and you can't base it on what guys are using on the tour because their swings are so much better and they hit balls every day. It's their livelihood to play golf, where you may play once a week.
Well, here's the other thing. For instance, I can take guys that are out on the toe on the lie angle, meaning the toe is down and just the toe of the golf club's touching the ground, the heel's in the air. Ball should go to the right. Well, I can take that same person, make him hit a little short punch shot, just like Tony was doing right there, and bang, the lie angle's right in the center. So I tell him, look, the lie angle's not wrong. Somehow, as your swing, when you make a full swing, you get off path, and you come over the top, that stresses the shaft and makes it bow downward, and the toe goes down. That's what we need to address. And what happens with a lot of guys, they go into some place and the guy has them hit off a board, and they go, oh, it's on the toe, you need 3 degrees upright. No, he doesn't. He needs to change that path. We need to figure out what's going on with his path. So it's always dangerous dealing with somebody that the only way they make money is to sell you golf clubs. We don't make money with golf clubs. We make money with helping you lower your score, wanting you to get to be a better golfer. And we're more than willing to tell you no when you want to buy something. And and we're sort of proud of that, right, Jim? That's what we do.
Sure.
The thing that they have, a golfer has to depend on is say, hey, these guys are PGA pros, and they know what they're talking about, and they're more concerned with my success than they are with trying to make a buck off selling me something real quick. And I think I'm going to start crying. You know what Dennis Perkins is going to say? Lopez is so full of crap. Hold on, wait a minute. Hey, Dennis.
Yeah, Bob.
Did that make you start crying?
Yeah, I'm crying like a baby over here. I got some. I got something to tell you that's not golf related, real quick.
Go ahead.
Send me an email about the update on your Apple iPhones and iPads.
Yeah.
They said don't do it, because if you upgrade it right now, they had some problem. You burn 3% of your battery per minute.
Really?
Yes, so do not update until later on down the road.
All right. Well, that's good news. That's good news. Everybody knows. I wouldn't upgrade mine anyway. I can hardly figure out what the heck I got, much less upgrade.
Oh, you just update it to whatever they always think you want to update now, and you always I want to update. Well, don't do it.
Okay. Good news. Good news. Glad you shared that with us. Anybody else have a question? Let me see. Do I see another hand up here somewhere? Anybody got a question about picking a driver? Hello? Let me see, Mike. Is that just your thing moving around?
No.
Hold it. Ryan's got a question. Yeah, Ryan?
Hey, Bobby, just talk to the group a little bit about, we had this conversation the other day, but just about the battle between fitting and instruction, and what's your stance on blending the two together if somebody's coming to you looking for a driver?
Well, sort of what we had just said. In other words, if a guy comes to, let's just go through the process if you want. Let's pretend like you're the guy, and you come to me for a driver, and I say, okay, you want a driver? And I say, well, Ryan, why do you want a driver? What is it in your mind that you perceive, you might say, well, look at my driver. It's a real piece of junk, and it is. I go, okay, well, let's start from there. Or you say, hey, I see you have a pretty decent driver, and you say, what's the problem? Well, I seem to be hitting it too high, or I slice with it all the time, or I'm having trouble with hitting it too low, whatever. Stories. I say, okay, great. Let's tee one up and hit it. Let me see. And I video your swing right off the bat, first thing, so that we can sit down and look at that video. And I say, well, Ryan, let's look at how you're swinging, and let's look at that. Let's refer back to that ball flight that we just saw. Sure, the ball's going low and to the right, but we put some face tape on your driver while we did this little video, and we can see the marks out on the toe. Well, no wonder the ball's going out low right. It's got to. Or it could be away in the heel, and you hit a little carver, left to right because of the gear effect. But I try to determine what the deal is with his swing, face tape, and look at the ball flight. You look at those three things and come up with at least some information to be able to explain to the person in plain English to say, well, here's probably why you're having these problems. Now, I'm either at that point have to say, well, we need to address this in your swing. Doesn't matter what driver we pick. Or I might say, well, that doesn't look that bad. Let's try some different shaft configurations. Let's try some different length. Let's see if there's something about that configuration that just gives you a rash and it's not working for you. Does that make any sense? Or?
No, absolutely. I just thought you walk the guys through kind of your procedures. And at what point would you suggest somebody goes up in loft or even metal off the tee?
Well, just looking at the ball flight itself, that's another thing we're going to be doing this year. If you're fitting with a range ball, bad enough you're trying to fit in an indoor, but let's say you have the advantage of being outdoor. In a range ball, that dimple configuration is really not accurate. So if you're looking at how high the ball's going, we're going to take some of those Callaway practice balls, that's the real ball, and once we get far enough along on the fitting that we say, okay, we're right about here, let's hit some of these, and let's see where that launch angle is with a real golf ball, because that makes a significant difference. I mean, I see the difference. I hit a range ball, and then I hit a real ball, and it's 15%, 20% higher. So that's another thing we're incorporating in this year, and we'll just use those and, You know, as we come in, we'll try and dig them out of the range ball so we can use them again. But we think that's important, and a lot of people don't do that. Anything else, Chief?
No, we're good.
All right, partner. Thanks. Good comment. Good comment. Let's see. We got Tony. Tony, you have a question there, buddy? Where are you? There you go. Hey, Tony.
Earlier on, Bobby, you mentioned the adjustable drivers. Could
Right.
it be an advantage for someone who is working on their swing and their launch ankle changes as a result of the improvements that person makes? Rather than having to go and have another refit and buy a new driver?
Maybe, but I doubt it. Maybe, but I doubt it. It could, but I think that once you find a configuration that rewards you when you make your best motion, you know, and I tell you another thing, the temptation to go messing around with that thing all the time could be detrimental, because you start shutting the face or opening this face, and then you're actually making changes in your swing without even realizing you're doing it in order to accommodate that different configuration. You know, the real big difference is, you know, do you order a golf club already made the way you want it and it's there, it's fixed, or do you have the ability to shut the face? Almost today, you probably almost don't have a choice. All the newer drivers come with all those adjustments. But I really suggest keeping that adjustment there. If you ever decide to change it, go back to the guy that fits you, let him look at your swing again and say, hey, your swing has changed, or you've gotten off track. Let's get you back where you ought to be. But not just start switching it for the heck of switching it, and you do more harm than good.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions, gang? If not, we'll call it a night. I hope you learned something. We did record this one, so we'll be able to send it to you. Jim, you got anything else to add there, buddy?
I don't think so. This is real good information tonight.
You think so?
Yep.
Any other question? Let me see. Or is that Ryan? Ryan, were you asking another question?
No, I'm okay, Bob.
All right. All right, gang. Hope you enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. We're going to send this out to you as soon as we can get it downloaded and put together. And, again, if you're going to get a driver and you're going to buy something that we don't sell, it's not a problem. We're more than willing to help you, whether we make a dime on it or not. It doesn't matter, because here's the problem. We're stuck teaching you with it in your hand afterwards. Right, Jim?
That's right.
I'm serious. So then if you go get something and it's wrong for you, then we have to suffer the consequences right along with you, because we're trying to teach you with the wrong configuration in your hand. So don't be afraid to say, hey, will you help me? I'm going to, like Dennis said earlier, I'm going to get this TaylorMade driver. Your heart's set on TaylorMade. We don't have TaylorMade. Don't worry about it. I'm more than happy to help you. It all comes out in the wash in the end. I mean, we're not worried about whether we get paid for doing that or not. It's not a problem. Send us your friends, and we'll call it even. Right, Jim?
That's right.
All right, partner. Enjoyed it.
All right. That was great. Thanks, everybody.